समुद्रस्य हिमाद्रश्चैव दक्षिणं वर्षं तद् भारतं नाम भारतीयत्र सन्तति।
Namaste. Welcome to this episode of Itihasa, which is about Swami Vivekananda. In his brief lifespan of 39 years, he left an indelible imprint on India, shook India out of its torpor. Today, if people recognize a few words from the Kathopanishad, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapavarana Nivodhata, arise awake, it is largely because of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, his imprint was indelible, not only in India, but also in terms of the impact it had on the Western world. Swami Vivekananda instilled a sense of pride. He instilled a sense of nationalism which transcended narrow definitions of religion. Many people describe Swami Vivekananda as a Hindu monk. There was everything that was Hindu about him because he was steeped in the tradition of Vedanta and yoga. But there was everything that was not Hindu about him also because his message was universal. We have come to Velur Math. We will understand Swami Vivekananda's legacy. We will understand Swami Vivekananda's importance, and we will understand why Swami Vivekananda continues to remain relevant even today.
स्वामी विवेकानंद, एक नाम, एक व्यक्तित्व, एक विचार नहीं, एक बुनियाद है। ऐसी बुनियाद जिस पर भारत का विराट सांस्कृतिक महल खड़ा है। स्वामी विवेकानंद प्रतीक हैं उस महान भारतीय संस्कृति के जिन्हें गुरुदेव रवींद्रनाथ टैगोर के इस कथन से अच्छे से समझा जा सकता है, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा था कि यदि आप भारत को समझना चाहते हैं तो स्वामी विवेकानंद को पूरी तरह पढ़ लीजिए। स्वामी विवेकानंद का नाम आते ही एक ऐसे तेजस्वी युवा सन्यासी की छवि मन में उभरती है जो सच्चे राष्ट्रभक्त होने के साथ ज्ञान के अथाह भंडार हैं, जिनके विचारों को आदर्श मानकर भारत ही नहीं विश्व के युवा प्रेरित होते हैं। भारतीय संस्कृति और भारतीय धर्म के प्रति उनका गर्व और आदर अमेरिका के शिकागो में विश्व धर्म संसद में 11 सितंबर 1893 को उनके द्वारा दिए गए संभाषण से जाहिर होता है।
मैं एक ऐसे धर्म का अनुयायी होने में गर्व का अनुभव करता हूँ जिसने संसार को सहिष्णुता तथा सार्वभौम स्वीकृति दोनों की शिक्षा दी है। हम लोग सभी धर्मों के प्रति केवल सहिष्णुता में ही विश्वास नहीं करते, बल्कि सभी धर्मों को सच्चा मानकर स्वीकार करते हैं। मुझे एक ऐसे देश का व्यक्ति होने का अभिमान है जिसने इस पृथ्वी के समस्त धर्मों और देशों के उत्पीड़ितों और शरणार्थियों को आश्रय दिया है।
वेदांत दर्शन, गीता और योग समेत भारतीय संस्कृति के अहम मूल्यों के वैश्विक उद्घोषक स्वामी विवेकानंद की सोच और उनका दर्शन विश्व बंधुत्व की भावना से भरा हुआ था। वो एक ऐसा समाज चाहते थे जहां बड़े से बड़ा सत्य सामने आ सके। दरअसल विवेकानंद के लिए सच ही उनका देवता था और वो पूरी दुनिया को अपना देश मानते थे। आधुनिक भारत को प्रबल रूप से प्रभावित करते हुए स्वामी विवेकानंद का संन्यास से पहले नाम नरेंद्र नाथ दत्त था। कोलकाता के एक समृद्ध परिवार में पैदा हुए नरेंद्र के पिता विश्वनाथ दत्त एक वकील थे और माता भुवनेश्वरी देवी शिव भक्त थीं।
उठो जागो और लक्ष्य को हासिल करने से पहले रुको मत। अपने लक्ष्य के प्रति पूरी निष्ठा और समर्पण के साथ आगे बढ़ने का देश दुनिया को संदेश देने वाले स्वामी विवेकानंद का जन्म कोलकाता के इसी घर में इसी स्थान पर 12 जनवरी 1863 को हुआ। स्वामी विवेकानंद यानी बालक नरेंद्र ने अपने जीवन के करीब 20 साल यहाँ गुजारे और इसी घर से माँ बाप से उनको जो विचार और संस्कार मिले, उन्होंने ठाकुर रामकृष्ण परमहंस से जुड़ने के बाद लोगों में नई जोश और नई ऊर्जा का संचार किया।
18 वर्ष की आयु में कॉलेज में पढ़ते समय ज्ञान और सत्य की खोज उन्हें महान संत श्री रामकृष्ण परमहंस तक ले आई और परमहंस ही वो सच्चे गुरु सिद्ध हुए जिनका सानिध्य और आशीर्वाद पाकर वो संपूर्ण विश्व के स्वामी विवेकानंद के रूप में स्वयं को प्रस्तुत कर पाए। श्री रामकृष्ण परमहंस ने 16 अगस्त 1886 को अपनी आयु के 50वें वर्ष में देह त्याग कर दिया। श्री रामकृष्ण परमहंस की 16 सन्यासी शिष्यों में विवेकानंद के साथ ब्रह्मानंद, योगानंद, प्रेमानंद, निरंजनानंद, शिवानंद, शारदानंद, रामकृष्णानंद, अभेदानंद, अद्भुतानंद, तुरीयानंद, अद्वैतानंद, त्रिगुणातीतानंद, सुबोधानंद, अखंडानंद और विज्ञानानंद शामिल थे। स्वामी विवेकानंद ने आध्यात्म, धर्म, वैश्विक मूल्यों, चरित्र निर्माण, शिक्षा और समाज को बहुत विस्तृत और गहरे आयामों से विश्लेषित किया है। उनका मानना है कि किसी भी राष्ट्र का युवा जागरूक और अपने उद्देश्य के प्रति समर्पित हो तो वो देश किसी भी लक्ष्य को प्राप्त कर सकता है। स्वामी विवेकानंद का विश्वास, उनका साहस और उनका विवेक हमें युगों युगों तक सदा प्रेरित करता रहेगा।
To discuss Swami Vivekananda and the impact Swami Vivekananda had, I am delighted that we have with us today Swami Suvirananda, the General Secretary of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission System. Namaskar. Thank you for joining us. We are in Belur Mutt on the banks of the river Hooghly Bhagirathi. Behind me you can see this wonderful temple. This temple is a remarkable fusion of different kinds of religious movements. Will you just explain a little bit from what we can see here in terms of the temple?
The temple was designed by Swami Vivekananda himself. Swami Vivekananda had a vision of harmony. As a matter of fact, Christopher Isherwood describes Sri Ramakrishna as prophet of harmony. And if we want to understand Vivekananda in the right perspective, we have to understand Sri Ramakrishna as well. Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda is the obverse and reverse of the same coin. They were intertwined with each other, so much so that if Sri Ramakrishna was the theory, Vivekananda perhaps was the explanation. If Sri Ramakrishna was the idea, Vivekananda was the amplification. If Sri Ramakrishna was the speaker, perhaps it will be apt to say that Vivekananda was the loudspeaker. So naturally, Sri Ramakrishna was a prophet of harmony. It is known to the world that he is the first man of God in the world who practiced all the religious disciplines himself, reached the end of it and declared before the world that yato mat tato pat. So naturally, being a disciple and the chief instrument of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda also believed in harmony, which is why when designing the temple, Swami Vivekananda combined the architecture of different religions like mosque, church, Gumpha of the Buddhist, Jaina temple, and on the top of all, the Hindu temple. So all these legacies, spiritual legacies, were represented in his design, giving a message of harmony to the people.
Ramakrishna Mutt and it says Ramakrishna Mission. What is the difference between the two?
Ramakrishna Mutt started, so to say, when Sri Ramakrishna was alive, and Swamiji had a prophecy. Swamiji said, one of his brother disciples, Swami Premanandaji Maharaj, that I do not imagine, I see, I can very well see a tidal spiritual wave will emanate from this Belur Math, and this Belur Math has been established to serve the humanity, Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya, of which Belur Math is the nerve center, will inundate the entire world.
When people refer to Sri Ramakrishna, they say Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa. What does the expression Paramhansa mean?
Paramhansa is a spiritual state where he reaches the highest point of the scale being the scale of Brahmogyan.
Why do so many of our religious leaders have to travel abroad before they get the due recognition? Swami Vivekananda is one example, but there are others also. Why is it the case that we do not recognize them and their importance until they've been recognized by the West?
Swami Vivekananda went to Chicago, went to the USA only because of India. Swamiji says, I am a condensed India. Swamiji says that if I have a beloved, the name of my beloved is India. I used to love my beloved. I do love my beloved. I will be keeping loving my beloved. Swamiji says that India first, India second, and India last. And you will be very glad to hear that this is the place, the road that is going ahead. And this is the place where Vivekananda was roaming along with Bal Gangadhar Tilak in 1897, 14th August. And all on a sudden, Tilak told Swamiji, Swamiji, please grant us freedom. Freedom is a word which was very close to Swamiji. Some people say that Swamiji chose 4th July as his day of Mahasamadhi because 4th July is the day of independence of the oldest democracy of the world, the USA. Anyway, when Swamiji heard the request of Tilak, Swamiji paused for a moment and told, I can grant you freedom tomorrow. Can you really preserve it? Perhaps you can't. And after a few minutes, Swamiji in a fit of inspiration says, you will get freedom most unexpectedly on completion of 50 years from today. 1897, Swamiji makes this prophecy in the evening to Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and we all know that we had the stroke of the midnight in 1947, 14th August. Not a day more or not a day less than what Swamiji predicted. Swamiji says, as Naren Datta, if I had given a clarion call to the peasants of India, to the cobblers of India, to the common people of India, hardly a few people would have turned up. But when I have gone to the America, and after coming back from America, when I have got credential from them, when I give a clarion call to my countrymen, I am absolutely sure that large crowds will gather around me.
Swami Vivekananda continues to be relevant today. Why he continues to be a youth icon. Swami Suvedananda, namaskar.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. अब बेलूर मठ से हम चलेंगे अंतपुर Why is Anandpur important? Because that is the place where Swami Vivekananda took a vow to take sannyas. But the reason we have come to Anandpur here today is because this is the place where, in a symbolic kind of sense, Narendranath Datta became Swami Vivekananda. This used to be Swami Premananda's ancestral house. Narendranath Datta and the other disciples of Sri Ramakrishna used to come here, stay here. And it is at this place, on 24th of December, which is still annually celebrated, behind me, in this particular place, where a dhuni was lit, and all 9 of them decided to take sannyas. One of his disciples wrote about Swami Vivekananda, Murta Maheshwara Mujjvala Bhashkaram. In some sense, this is where that journey started.
स्वामी जी को लेकर जो 9 जन है जो आपका नाम का लिस्ट है, उन लोगों को लेकर 1886 19 दिसंबर फ्राइडे में यहाँ पर सनसेट का पहले में ही पहुँच गए हरिपाल रेलवे स्टेशन से घोड़ार गाड़ी में। उस दिन यहाँ पे वहाँ से लेकर उन्होंने हर दिन ही रहते थे स्वामी जी एवं उन लोग सब एक जगह पर घूमे थे। टेराकोटा मंदिर जो राधा गोविंद जी मंदिर, ये तो बिगेस्ट मंदिर है एशिया का। तो और जो हमारा स्वामी जी जो उन लोग नहाते थे, वो बहुत बड़ा सरोवर है, अभी उनका नाम है नरेंद्र सरोवर। तब स्वामी जी वहाँ पे नहाते थे और शाम को यहाँ पे यही जो जाएगा आप धुनी मंडप देखें, यहाँ पे उन लोग सब आग जलाकर मेडिटेशन करते थे। एवं ऐसा करते करते जब 24 दिसंबर आया, स्वामी जी का माइंड में जो था संघ को शुरू करना है, तब उस दिन इतना इंस्पायर्ड हो गया सब मेडिटेशन में। उन लोग यहाँ पर धुनी जलाए एवं उस धुनी को अग्नि को स्पर्श करके तब उन लोग संकल्प लिए जे हम लोग आर को भी अपना माँ पिताजी का पास वापस नहीं जाएंगे और हमरा पवित्र रहकर सन्यासी संग श्री राम कृष्ण जी का नाम में हम लोग सब जीवन उत्सर्ग करेंगे।
स्वामी विवेकानंद के बारे में बातचीत करेंगे। हमारे साथ उपस्थित है मकरंद परंजापे। वेलकम। हिस्टोरियन, प्रोफेसर, educational administrator for want of a better word, researcher, poet and friend. You have this wonderful book on Swami Vivekananda, which you say you are tempted to call the unknown Vivekananda. Such a lot has been written about Swami Vivekananda. Why unknown Swami Vivekananda?
You just said it, Bibek. The paradox of fame is that the more he is known, the less he is known, because people just regurgitate, the expected lines of understanding of Swamiji. And, there are two aspects to why he is unknown. One is that, the cliche gets repeated, as I mentioned, but the other thing is that there's not much new original research or thinking on his work. Though his life is very brief, as we know, less than 40 years, and much of the work that he did, most of his writings are already published in the collected works. So to discover new things is a little difficult now. But yet, even what is known, there are millions of things in Swamiji which have not been studied more deeply or studied as intensely as they ought to be. So these are the two aspects, that there's a blockage of new understanding for lack of new work on him, and there's also the repetition of the older tropes and cliched, you might say, representations of Swamiji.
So to put it a bit differently, Swami Vivekananda, most people would say Swami Vivekananda represents Vedanta, represents Advaita Vedanta. But you make this interesting point that towards the end of his life, he turned towards bhakti, he turns towards Kali. In fact, he is the one who started the Durga Puja that is still done in Vellore Math. Someone wants to read up on Swami Vivekananda, not read up as written by others, but read what Swami Vivekananda himself wrote. What would you recommend, short of the collected works?
Swamiji was like a live wire. So there is a Jivanta Chetana that flows in his writing. And why I'm saying live wire is because when you come in touch with a live wire, there's a shock that runs through your body. So Swami Vivekananda's writings are like that. They awaken your consciousness.
Not trying to put words in your mouth, but science is inherently empirical. And Hinduism is also empirical. That this is what a rishi felt. This is not in any sense the absolute truth, because the absolute truth, who is to know what is the absolute truth? But to get back to what works of Swami Vivekananda one should read other than the Penguin Reader, would you say that the 4 yogas, Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and lectures from Colombo to Almora, because that sort of transcends dharma in some sense. It's also about nationalism and about modern India. Would you agree with
Absolutely. I think in the lectures from Colombo to Almora, he gives you the blueprint of modern India. And if I may say so, you know, from Narendranath Datta to Narendra Bhai Modi, you see a direct line. It's almost as if what we see today happening before our eyes had been predicted, prophesied, and I would say planned by Swamiji. He gives us actually the step-by-step way of renewing this ancient civilization through social reform, through the embracing of modern science and technology for amelioration and poverty alleviation, and also the awakening of national and civilizational pride, because without that Asmita Jagran, we will remain a defeated and conquered civilization. And of the yogas, I would recommend Raja Yoga, because as you know, Bibekda, these were not meant as books, they were lectures put together. But the Raja Yoga is the first systematic translation and commentary in the modern times of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So if today we celebrate International Yoga Day, and if more than 300 million people worldwide are practicing yoga, and maybe many more in India who don't come out openly but are doing it in some form or another, I think the revival, I mean there are many others who contributed, but Swamiji played a very important role, because it was in New York that he gave these lectures, and they had no clue about Patanjali, and he translated sutra by sutra and commented on it. And speaking of the yogas, Bibekda, as you rightly said, the Bhagavad Gita is itself at its own time a synthesis of all the yogas, all the methods available for self-realization. And Swamiji did exactly that. He brought Bhakti, Raj Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and most importantly for India, Karma Yoga, because we need more Rajas. We were so tamasic.
Getting out of the tamas. It's almost an idea that's a bit like what Dindal Upadhyay in his April 1965 lectures called the Chiti, so awakening the Rajas.
In fact, just a footnote to that, Bibekda, I always think that when Bankim sort of gave us the conception of the new goddess Bharat Mata or Bhavani Bharati, it was, as we know, when we build a temple to the god or the goddess, to the deity, वो प्राण प्रतिष्ठापना भी करना बहुत आवश्यक होता है. तो मैं तो यही कहूँगा कि हमारी जो भारत माता थी, उसकी प्राण प्रतिष्ठापना में स्वामी विवेकानंद का बहुत बड़ा योगदान था, क्योंकि उन्होंने हमारे देश की चिति का जागरण किया, पुनर्जागरण, क्योंकि ये कभी मरी तो थी नहीं, लेकिन जब कोलंबो से हमारे यहाँ आए और सबसे पहले रामेश्वरम में, पंबन में उन्होंने प्रवेश किया, तो ऐसे लगा कि जैसे उनके चरण स्पर्श से मिट्टी जाग उठी है और ये ललकार जो उन्होंने दी पूरे भारत में, वो एक सनसनी की तरह फैल गई और लोग मतलब उठ के खड़े हो गए कि हम एक हैं, हम एक राष्ट्र हैं और इस राष्ट्र के निर्माण में हमें एकजुट होके खड़े होना चाहिए। और देश जोड़ो जो हम आजकल बात कर रहे हैं वो स्वामी जी ने किया, क्योंकि सबसे पहले उन्होंने चेन्नई में, जो उस समय मद्रास कहलाता था, वहीं उनको जो युवा शक्ति उनको जो मिली, समर्थन उनको वहीं से प्राप्त हुआ। बंगाल में तो बाद में मिला, बल्कि बंगाल में, कलकत्ता में वो जो हम कहेंगे एंग्लिसाइजेशन, वो उसका इतना प्रभाव था कि शुरुआत में लोग उनकी बात भी नहीं मानते थे। लेकिन दूसरी जगह जैसे दक्षिण भारत में उन्होंने जो चमत्कार किया और सबसे पहले जो रामकृष्ण मिशन का स्थापन हुआ कलकत्ता के बाहर, बेलूर के बाहर, वो मद्रास में ही हुआ।
Last question. Why does someone have to go abroad and get recognized abroad before he is recognized in India? I have in mind Swami Vivekananda, but it has happened for several others also. Why is this?
I hope it changes, Vivekda. I think the colonial cringe should come to an end if it hasn't already. You know, somewhere Gandhiji used to say that if someone puts poison in your body, the half-life of its after effects is 50%. So 150 years of colonialism, and now we are going to celebrate India at 75. So I hope we don't have to do this anymore, and I hope that the spirit that was awakened by Swamiji, and as you see in this beautiful statue, he's pointing the way to a glorious future where I think the awakening of not just India but of world consciousness. That's why I say it's unknown, because he wanted human beings to reach a higher level of self-realization, which is what he called practical Vedanta.
Makarand Paranjape, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vivekda. It's been such an honor and pleasure. Thank you.
आशा है स्वामी विवेकानंद के बारे में ये बातचीत आपको अच्छा लगा हो। देखते रहिए इतिहास कार्यक्रम संसद टीवी पे। अगले एपिसोड में हमारे साथ चलिए कामाख्या, गुवाहाटी। कामाख्या तंत्र का एक इम्पोर्टेंट सेंटर हुआ करता था। कामाख्या के अलावा वहाँ हम भीमाशंकर ज्योतिर्लिंगम में भी जाएंगे। अगले एपिसोड के लिए इंतज़ार कीजिए। देखते रहिए इतिहास कार्यक्रम संसद टीवी।